And welcome back to a fantasy football podcast.
Mockathon.
You are tuning into day 4 of our Mockathon. This is the 4th mock draft that we're doing today. I'm your host, Jono, and as always, my co-host, Chris. We're diving in and doing mock drafts all week long to give you the best insight to your mock drafts that are upcoming on this weekend or next week so that you can prepare yourself to defeat your league mates and walk out of the draft happy with what your team looks like. That being said, let's get into the content. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification button. Here in today's mock draft, I'm drafting from the 4 spot and Chris is drafting from the 9 spot. As we said, we're going from the outsides, working our way in. So we're going to be finishing with teams 6 and 7 in the middle, kind of that range where nobody likes to draft from. We're kind of on the teetering the edge here at 4 and 9 of where you are happy and comfortable drafting. So
some would say we're the walls of the trash chute on the Death Star.
Yes.
Just closing on in.
Just closing in. So this is a 12-team standard scoring league here. You have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 flex, 6 bench, and obviously defense and kicker. So let's start it off here. To kick it off, we got Jamar Chase and Jefferson going 1 and 2, Christian McCaffrey, and then falling to me at 4. So here at 4 I'm going to shake it up. I've been drafting Austin Eckler from the 3-4 spot a lot, depending upon who goes. And instead of doing that, I'm going to drop down here and I'm going to take my next highest rated running back, a guy that I love because he's on the team that I love, but that's Saquon Barkley. I think he has a chance that he could finish RB1 overall. Afterwards goes Bijan Robinson, Travis Kelce, Austin Eckler, and Tyreek Hill. So 4 big running backs, 3 receivers, and a tight end before it gets to you here.
Yeah, this is actually interesting just because a lot of the running backs went. And typically in a lot of these mock drafts, there's been like a run on receivers in the first round, but the running backs went. So judging by just kind of rolling through what's happening with the running backs, I know I can go get a receiver at the end of the 9th round, but I can't get a guy like Chubb. So I'm going to draft Chubb right here at the 9th pick.
I like that. It sucks missing on Cooper Kupp there because he did fall to you.
I know.
So,
but
still, I mean, Nick Chubb. So Cooper Kupp goes, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown. Team 12 doubles up on receiver, getting CeeDee Lamb. Jonathan Taylor, who we just got done talking about. If you haven't had a chance to listen to our little chat about his talk, click the link right here. And then Devontae Adams, and back to you.
It's so hard not to go Derrick Henry right here.
I mean, do it. I think I would be doing it. If I'm in your position, that's what I'd be doing.
I know. It's so hard not to. But like I kind of said in the first round, I was like, it's hard to take Nick, not to take Nick Chubb here because of the run on running backs because I know I can get a wide receiver in the second round. And there are 2 guys sitting there between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Garrett Wilson that I'm not going to have a caliber of wide receiver like that ever again in the draft.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to get a caliber like Derrick Henry, but I think I can
2,
get other running backs.
1.
And I'm going to go St. Brown.
All right. Pat Mahomes goes afterwards. Derrick Henry finally goes to team 7. So that's Eckler, Henry, a double whammy there. Garrett Wilson to team 6, Josh Jacobs to Bijan Robinson. Now, I know you see the Taylor there. Most likely he's not going to go there. So just note that when looking at this draft. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at an opportunity to continue a run on a quarterback here in the second round. But to me, I'm kind of sitting in that situation that you were just in, except I think there's a drop-off after these. There's 2 running backs on here that there's a drop-off on. Jalen Waddle, I also believe, being right inside that top 10, there's a drop-off after him. It's just not as big as it is between Tony Pollard and Ramondre Stevenson. So I'm going to go with Tony Pollard here and double up my running backs. It's starting off with Saquon and Pollard from the NFC East. Andrews goes afterwards. 2 quarterbacks in a row, Waddle, Higgins, and Devonta Smith. Back to me, Ramondre Stevenson still here, which blows my mind. But again, we are with the computer here. But you out there are also with your league mates, and you never know what they're going to do. I've seen some weirder things out there too. So this is where I'm going to obviously start with my wide receivers. And you got a choice between Olave, DK Metcalf, Debo, and this is by ADP, Keenan Allen, and so on. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't done this in a draft in a long time. I'm going to punt the wide receiver, and I'm going to go straight up running back heavy here. And I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, I mean, you how can you not like that?
Yeah.
You get 3 stud running backs right there.
And one's my flex at this point, so
yeah.
I'm okay. And look at the run of the running backs that happened right after that. So obviously nobody would have came back to me, but Olave goes, Najee, Mixon, ETN, and on to Chris in the 3rd round, 9th pick.
Yeah, this is a really good spot for him. It is going to get Breece Hall here in the 3rd at the end of the 3rd round.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go get Breece Hall with just a ton of upside. And hope that, my guy swings back to me, which he did. So we had Joe Burrow, Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, DK Metcalf, Lamar Jackson, Jahmyr Gibbs on the swing. And now I'm sitting here and I can go and get the receiver that I wanted to get, which was Calvin Ridley in the 4th.
I like that, matching Brown and Ridley. Debo Samuel follows up, Keenan Allen, Cooper, and Hawkinson. I was hoping that either Amari Cooper or Hawkinson would fall to me right here because I would like either one of them as my first ball catcher. But that being said, I'm going to do what I want to do here, and I'm going to go with ADP. I know QBs and sleeper ADP are a little higher than other drafts. This is a 1-quarterback league, and I don't know about others out there, but in our leagues that I've been playing in, the teams that make the championship are the teams with one of the top 10 quarterbacks out there. And I don't want to miss out on one of the top 6, top 5 guys. And in fact, one of the top 5 guys in our ranking is here, and that's Justin Herbert. So I'm going to go grab Herbert, get him. Fields goes right after. McLaurin, Pierce, Hopkins, Watson, Judy. Now, the reason I went with Herbert there was, to me, I'm not in love with McLaurin, Hopkins, Watson, or Judy to be my one over top of anybody else after that. DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, all guys that could kind of finish in the same. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hammer in on these wide receivers, and I'm going to go start off with DJ Moore in that he builds off that one play he had with Justin Fields in the preseason. Alvin Kamara follows. Yeah. Alvin Kamara, I mean, the fact that he can do that is a plus. Not every receiver can grab a ball and go 65 yards, or whatever it may have been for on a screen pass. So I just like the fact that he's going to be involved. Alvin Kamara, J.K. Dobbins, Drake London, Miles Sanders, kind of rounding out that next tier of running backs.
And I'm sitting here in the 5th round. This is probably the lowest that I've seen him go, but Kittle. I'm going to grab George Kittle.
Yeah, I knew you were going to because I almost grabbed him there, but I wanted to grab DJ Moore. I didn't want to lose on a tier of wide receiver. So Pitts goes afterwards, Akers, Godwin, Trevor Lawrence, Madison, and Swift.
Yeah, I'm really liking the way everything is kind of falling here. And this, I'm just reacting to the draft and who's kind of coming to me is like, I like going James Conner here. I really do. But sitting there at wide receiver is Brandon Ayuk. And I could go quarterback here, but I love Ayuk. Give me something that forks up, baby.
Two 49ers in a row. I like the Connor pick for you there too, just because the Breece Hall gives you a nice filler as your RB2 till he's ready. But Connor goes right after that Ayuk pick. Goddard, Cook, Hollywood Brown. And now I'm sitting here where I have an option. I really like Mike Williams to pair with my quarterback, but I have a concern the fact that team 1 and 2 don't have tight ends. And the last guy in my top echelon of tight ends, he's actually above Goddard and above Pitts, is Darren Waller. And to me, it's either great or late, as the footballers and other guys say out there, and CBS says. I'm going to go great before I go late. And I'm taking Darren Waller. Lockett, Kirk, Pittman, Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, and Rashad White. I was hoping Williams would have fell to me, but I'm fine with where I'm at here because I'm going to take a chance on a wide receiver with Mike Evans, a guy who has not missed a 1,000-yard season yet, and I know that this team is going to have to pass the ball. Their running game does not look good. Everybody's going to expect them to run the ball more than they did under Tom Brady, but I don't know how much they're going to be able to do that because they look absolutely terrible. And so, in my opinion, yeah, you're going to have to go to somebody. I know I would rather have Chris Godwin because his intermediate routes are probably going to get hit up a lot more, but you can't deny that Mike Evans is a touchdown machine, and he's going to find his way to 1,000 yards somehow. Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Tua go all three in a row.
I knew that was going to happen.
George Pickens right before you, or the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was falling your way till this round when you needed a quarterback.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. It's kick in the nuts, as they would say. But that's fine.
A little sack attack.
A little sack attack. That's okay. I'm going to go here. I know I have Breece Hall, and I know everyone, they draft Breece Hall, and they're, the next guy off the board, they're thinking about going and drafting someone for early season. But I'm looking late season because I see my team with Nick Chubb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Calvin Ridley, George Kittle, and Ayuk being able to carry me through the first 4 weeks of the season and put up numbers. I'm looking for a championship team, and so I'm going to draft for a championship team. So I'm going to draft Javonte Williams here.
There you go. So two guys coming off knee injury. Interesting choice. I don't know if many people would have done that, but bold move, Cotton. Bold move. Let's see if it works out for you.
And then I'm going to go.
Yeah. So just real quick, JSN went, Addison went, 2 rookie receivers, Pacheco, James Cook, Evan Ingram, and then David Montgomery, who I thought you were going to go with.
Yeah. It's not that I don't like him there, but I like the upside of Javonte Williams. I think that offense is going to have to run the ball. And I've liked what I've seen from him since he's been in the league. And so I'm looking late season. I'm looking for a championship, and I don't need them. Again, he's my third running back, so Breece Hall is going to come back, or he's going to come back, and as long as one of them comes back and they're relatively healthy, who I'm going to go with here is one of the breakout players that I think is going to be for the season, and that's Jahan Dotson.
I like that pick there. 8th round, that's super value. Freiermuth goes afterwards. A.J. Dillon, Treylon Burks, Kadarius Toney, 2 guys that are hurt to start the season. Receiver-wise, go there. And back to me, I have my quarterback. I have my tight end. Obviously, I'm weakest at wide receiver, and I could be happy with rolling with just these 3 running backs because at the end of the day, there's nobody behind Barkley. There's nobody really behind Tony Pollard that can do what Tony Pollard does. I know Deuce Vaughn is actually tearing it up in the preseason, but you got to admit a guy that small is not going to be doing the same thing Pollard does. And then Ramondre Stevenson does have Zeke behind him, but I'm not looking to get somebody else out there. These guys are bell cows. So that being said, I'm going to continue with my wide receivers, and I wanted a guy to go with my quarterback, and so I'm going to take a chance on the rookie Quentin Johnston here as my wide receiver 3. Charbonnet goes Gibson, Njoku, Rashad Penny, Brian Robinson, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas was the guy I was hoping to get here at 9, but there's another guy that stayed down here and fell to me as well that I do like a lot. I'm a little nervous going too much in the NFC East, so I'm also going to take a chance on a second rookie here, and that's Zay Flowers. He just had a play earlier on this evening where he caught a ball on an out route, took it up the sideline, made one cut, and boom, in the end zone. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 for Baltimore, and at the 102 ranking right now in pick 4, the 9th round, to get the number 1 receiver for one of the NFL teams, especially Lamar Jackson, I like it. Gabe Davis goes, Jamal Williams, Juju Smith-Schuster, and P. Ryan goes. Cooks is still on the board, and there's quarterbacks in ADP that are starting to poke around over here.
Nope.
Didn't think so.
It's the 9th round. Y'all should know what I'm doing at this point. This is the 4th time I'm going to do it because it's the 9th round, and I'm going to drop me some Khalil Herbert.
I should have guessed. 3 quarterbacks going around. Richardson, Cousins, Rodgers, just a slap in the face. Cooks perfect, goes though. Sutton and Devon A-Chain.
That's fine though, because this is a guy I've talked about it before. We talked about it in the first draft that we did where I booted quarterback. Or I said if I were to not draft Trevor Lawrence there and I would have booted quarterback, who would I have gone? and it was what Jared Goff in the 11th round. So
Hmm.
this is the 10th round. All the other teams, Jared Goff is still sitting there. I'm perfectly happy grabbing some Jared Goff. I team him up with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm perfectly happy with that.
After Goff, you got Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, Dalton Kincaid, and Jamison Williams go. And now that I'm in a position, obviously I have 3 running backs, quarterback, tight end. I have 4 wide receivers, 2 of whom which are rookies. I'm going to go with a veteran presence here, and who I project to be the wide receiver 2 and a good red zone threat for the New York Jets, and that's Alan Lazard. I think he is a little slept on for an Aaron Rodgers offense and a guy who's played with Aaron Rodgers his whole career. Dalton Schultz goes afterwards, Damian Harris, Chigakonkwo, Jerick McKinnon, 2 more quarterbacks in Geno Smith and Daniel Jones. And here in the 11th round, I have a plethora of wide receivers now, 3 running backs, tight end, and quarterback. I want to try and add a little bit of depth to the running back position, and there's 2 running backs that I like to get this deep. That's
Can I guess?
Elijah Mitchell or Raheem Mostert. And what I'm thinking about doing here is grabbing Raheem Mostert, not because I don't like Elijah Mitchell, because I think he's going to have a presence on the Niners, and he's an immediate stud if anything happens to CMC. But I want to get a piece of that Miami offense, and he's going to be the first guy off the bench to be used in my team, and that's Raheem Mostert. Sky Moore goes, Kendra Miller, Odell Beckham, Jacoby Myers, and back to Chris at the 11-9 pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a lot of. I'm going to stick with the late season upside with the running back position. I'm going to go Tank Bigsby. I think he's going to have a real presence here, and I really love him at this position in the 11th round.
Mitchell goes afterwards, Tyler Boyd, 2 tight ends in Cole Kmet and Dulcich. So obviously Team 12 was going with the late pick and taking 2 upside guys, Adam Thielen and then Tyler Algier.
I mean, there's so many wide receivers here,
There really is.
still available. That I think this is where I go and kind of solidify my backup quarterback position. Um, and we talked about Derek Carr and his potential this season with this offense. So I'm going to snag him here in the 12th round.
I like it. I like it. So Darnell Mooney afterwards, Rashee Rice, Devin Singletary, and then Russell Wilson. And now I've got just a boatload of players here that I feel comfortable, especially my starting positions. I don't want to risk missing out on this guy in 6 or 7 picks after this, because there's 6 in between my next one. So I'm going to grab another receiver, because I'm just going to have the pick of the litter on who's the hot hand at the time, and that's Romeo Doubs. Again, I say it again, I find myself drafting him constantly because 12th round is insane for a guy who I am projecting to be the leader in targets and receptions for the Green Bay Packers. Jonathan Mingo goes afterwards, Tyler Higbee, Roshan Johnson, Zay Jones, Zeke Elliott, Devontae Foreman. I'm at this point of the 13th round. I'm going to end up going for the first defense off the board in this draft. And you may be thinking, why aren't you waiting until the 14th or 15th round? Well, I'm comfortable if my draft ended right now with a team I have. There's nobody on this board that I'm really super, super excited about, that I don't want to get one of the highest scoring defenses out there. So I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. Sam Laporta goes, Rondell Moore, Bryce Young, and Jalen Warren.
I'm going to throw some love for my guy. It's Tank Dell. So I'm going to draft him right here. Because I like the strategy of going and getting a defense here. The grabbing a kicker and a defense in the last 2 rounds. I've usually drafted them a little bit earlier. So I'm going to draft my kicker and defense in the 14th and 15th round and be perfectly happy with who I get. And make adjustments on the fly.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab my kicker since there's been a run on them. I want to get somebody still that's pretty decent. I want to get a kicker that's going to be having plenty of opportunities on a team. And to me, the NFC East is a perfect place to do that, because you're going to get a lot of maybe lower scoring games or a lot of stops in the red zone. So I'm going to stick with the Giants kicker, Graham Gano. who was pretty successful last year. Bunch more kickers go off the board, no reason to name them, and then we start getting our defenses off the board here. And I'm going with the last pick in my draft here, and this is where it's not gonna be, I don't want to consider it a throwaway, but I'm calling it a throwaway because I'm gonna be okay dropping this guy week 1 for a waiver wire edition. But there's an upside that week 1 this guy shines. And to me, the fact that you can get someone like DJ Chark in the last pick of this draft, he could be the leading receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Whatever that leading receiver numbers actually look like, it is somebody that I could plug and play into a flex position. If injuries happen, he is a viable option in my opinion, and I'm not scared about plugging him in. The fact that I could have drafted him over Alan Lazard and Romeo Doubs and Zay Flowers even, because, again, he's a veteran who's done well in the NFL, and he's proven it the past couple seasons. If he stays healthy, he's good. So rounded off with DJ Chark. More defenses go off the board, and Chris is going to finish with his last pick and a defense here as well.
I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go with my Jets defense. All right.
There you go. And that rounds out the entire draft for our Mockathon Draft 4. To recap my draft here, I went first round from the 4th spot, Saquon Barkley. Tony Pollard came down to me in the 2nd round. I was happy to take him. And the fact that Ramondre Stevenson was sitting there in the 3rd round to go with those 3 guys off the board, the 3 guys that are not only heavy in running, but heavy in pass catching too, I couldn't pass that up. I then went with Justin Herbert because I didn't want to miss out on one of the top quarterbacks. We have him in our top 5. And then my first wide receiver off the board was DJ Moore in the 5th. Again, I didn't want to miss out on a top tight end here. So this is with the early QB, early tight end method here in the first 6 rounds. I went Darren Waller. I then went on a run of wide receivers. Evans, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, Alan Lazard. And then I wanted to get my 4th running back in Raheem Mostert, the starter for the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, he may only be getting 12 to 15 rushes a game, but he is a very efficient runner and he's fast. I like that. Romeo Doubs should not be in the 12th round, and I loved him sitting there. And then because I was happy with the rest of my lineup, I went round early on the defense and kicker and finished out with DJ Chark in the last round of the draft.
Yeah, my draft was going really well until I said something about it.
You opened your mouth.
And then it was like 2-3 rounds in a row where things got swiped out from underneath me. So I was drafted from the 9th position. Drafted Nick Chubb in the 1st. Drafted Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 2nd. I could have done Derrick Henry there too and been perfectly happy. Went Breece Hall in the 3rd. Calvin Ridley. Went with the early tight end with George Kittle in the 5th. Love that pick. Then Brandon Ayuk in the 6th. Don't care that they're both San Francisco pass catchers. They're both were the most heavily targeted guys on that offense by Brock Purdy, who's going to be the starter. So I love having both of them, and their upside is fantastic. Then I went with my 2nd ACL. Between my 2nd and 3rd running backs, I have 2 full knees. So I went with Javonte Williams in the 7th. Jahan Dotson in the 8th, which could prove to be extremely valuable considering that Terry McLaurin left the game with an injury and went to the locker room on Monday night. And then I went with Khalil Herbert, my 9th round draft pick. My team name this year is going to be Khalil in the 9th. That's what it's going to be. Then that's where kind of things started getting, those last between the 7th and 9th round is when things got wacky for me, because ideally in the 7th, I was going to go Tua, and he got picked 2 picks before me. And then ideally in the 9th round, I was going to go Kirk Cousins, and he got picked 2 picks before me. So I went with Jared Goff in the 10th, and I'm perfectly happy with that. I really am. I like having that, but as with all the quarterbacks on the lower end, I always said I was going to tag team him up with another middle to high range quarterback. So in the 11th, I go Tank Bigsby just for the upside, and then the 11th, double up my quarterbacks and go
12th.
Derek Carr.
12th, Derek Carr.
12th, sorry. In the 11th, I went Tank Bigsby. 12th, I went Derek Carr. In the 13th, went Tank Dell, my last position player, and then kicker defense, Jake Elliott for the Eagles, and then the New York Jets defense.
So again, that's our Mockathon Draft 4. That's from the 4 and 9 spots Tune in tomorrow to see us drafting from the 5 and the 8, and see if you're drafting from 5 or 8. There's your opportunity to see what we can do and what type of magic we can make from those positions. As always,
we need to get like an echo effect on the Mockathon. Mockathon, thon.
Yeah, if anybody's an audio engineer, sound engineer out there and wants to make us a little ditty, something for a Mockathon for next year, we'll be happy to take it.
We'll be happy.
Shoot us a message, shoot us a DM. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you get all the mock drafts this week and any future content, because wait till you see what we have to offer during season. Premium advice from both Chris and I, multiple time champions in multiple different leagues. So
3 on that one.
3 on that one. Yeah. I know. Well, 4 combined. 4, but well, that's 1 for me.
Stay out of here.
That's 1 for me. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out next time.